All right. Thank you, Derek, too. All right. So it's a pretty interesting case we read today. So I'm supposed to ask you, well, ask someone. Imagine you are Merton, and it's time for your 9 a.m. meeting with Tevis and Harris. What position would you advocate in that meeting? So what did you think about that, Ben?
Um, about firing Harris.
Yeah, because if you guys read in that, there was like a memo that was sent to Merton about maybe about firing the guy at the end. You guys go to Exhibit 12.
Um, I mean, I think it said he had been with the company for 13 or 14 years. And he was the guy that was like not following the safety protocol and somebody got hurt, or he was supervising it when somebody got hurt. And I think with like this leap that they're trying to take to kind of jump over that like barrier, not barrier, but like hurdle, like it was talking about ways that they can try to innovate safety solutions, because they've kind of been at this standstill mark and they want to continue to improve. And so I mean, does one instance of that happening warrant him being fired? Maybe not necessarily so, but could that then be a message sent throughout the company where we really are serious and that we're not joking around, and to drive home that point? So I would say maybe like make an example out of him and let him go. I mean, he clearly violated the protocol. He's been there for a decade. He's had a lot of experience, and I don't know, should have done better. And it's causing that company money and time for this incident to have happened. So those are my thoughts.
Yeah. In the memo, it also says that this was like the third incident that happened this year. So I guess that could be a reason why you would fire him. But yeah, he's also been in the company for that long, so he should have more experience on safety and stuff like that. What are everyone else's thoughts?
I don't know. He has like I agree with the three strikes you're out type of thing. However, could they just demote him and make him go to safety classes and make him like work back up to that type of position? So, I mean, if he's a proven good worker, but perhaps not the best supervisor, because he obviously is putting his, I almost said minions, his people that he manages, whatever they may be called, in dangerous situations. So maybe just, I think it would be harsh to dismiss him, but a demotion with training expectations.
Yeah.
I would say that the memo does mention that he had 3 other offenses, but they don't say that it was documented. So, and if they want to follow correct protocol, they need to document that before they fire someone. So he could have just said something in passing, and in his mind, it was documented. But if they got to deal with the government and legal and all that good stuff, they've got to have it written down. So this may be where they make a case out of it by writing him up. I don't think they could fire him without knowing if it was documented or not.
Hey, guys.
Mark?
Right, Mark. I was wondering when you were going to join us.
Sorry. Problems with computer and email.
Okay.
It's all good.
Life hates me today.
Yeah, thank you for bringing that point up, James. So another question that they asked us to ponder about are what are the implications for workers, family, supervisors, and senior management if he is fired? What do you guys think about that?
I'll chime in on that one. hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was thinking about how you know it's going to be an impact if they do fire him, because the with the people, and it'll show more uh, that they're serious about safety and what they're saying that they're doing. But also, I would think that you know everybody's gonna, at least the people that were immediately there, they'll if there's, how can I say it, their viewpoints of what happened, because you know we're just taking the word of this one guy, and I would like to investigate more to understand this, because if it becomes like a wrongful termination, like James was saying, with if it wasn't documented, and the other times, you know, you need to make sure all your bases are covered, make sure you do a thorough investigation, not just jump to the firing conclusion.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. And I like D2's comment, just firing someone may not save the life of a failed safety protocol in the future. Perfect comment. So the next question also says, would it be fair to fire Stefanik considering how other supervisors treat safety issues? What do you think about that, James?
I don't think it's fair to fire him. It's sorry, I'm still stuck on Derek's comment. What was that again, Stephen?
His comment or the question?
Yeah, your question. Sorry.
Would it be fair to fire Stefan considering how other supervisors treat safety issues?
No, they need to enable him to teach the other supervisors, because it's obviously a culture of ignoring the safety protocols in the name of numbers. And it may not even be numbers, but it may be the purpose of feeling accomplishment, because this is a family business. It's that a lot of people have been there for generations, you know, fathers, brothers, uncles, all live there. So they have this sense of being able to prove themselves. And so I don't think firing him will do anything positive. I think it may cause more negative impact. But they need to use him to teach them that they need to get over their pride of, essentially get over the pride that's causing them to ignore these safety issues, and realize that they need to take care of their physical bodies first, not their pride.
Yeah, exactly. Also, I remember a quote that I wrote down that said, like, Murren also perceived, this is from the case, a lax attitude within the plan. Like, people operate according to a split standard. So either there are those who like follow safety procedures and they know they must follow it, and there are those who think that some of them are important and they don't follow them. So yeah, I don't think it'd be fair if we just fire him if all other people have like the same view. Mark, right? That's what you said.
Yep.
Mark said the problem isn't the individual, but the policies or the culture of the company. Yep, that's a good comment. What were you gonna say, Carla?
So my dad and my grandpa did a lumber mill for a lot of years, and that was always an issue of safety. And the biggest thing is those who had been there the longest had the worst record, because they do get lax. And so what do you do to remotivate them to consider safety as an issue? I mean, you don't want to wait till somebody chops off a finger, but, you know, like, would a firing or a training be better? I mean, you know, like we're talking in class today, it was about motivation, and safety is number 2 on the Maslow. And so I'm like, I would tell my supervisor, I don't feel so comfortable doing this because this is not exactly safe. Like, there's a huge likelihood. However, that being said, do have even follow, cannot predict other people. And so, but I agree previously with like are they being
Is she breaking up for anyone else besides me?
Yeah, she's breaking up.
Okay, I was wondering if it was just me because I'm on a different internet right now. Like, do I say anything? Carla, I think you're breaking up on us.
Okay, yeah, her experience about her family is pretty good. So, all right, so we can move on to the next question. So the next question involves looking at data and exhibits that we just have to look at them really closely. So according to the instructions, I have to divide you into 3 groups, and since there is 7 of us, it's going to be so I'm going to put Ben and I always forget your name, the new one. Biggest Foot 9.
Mark.
What's your
Mark,
name
sorry.
again?
I don't know why my email puts that up there.
Okay.
Mark,
so
sorry.
Ben and Mark will be responsible for looking at exhibits 3 and 7. So you can look at the case right now. Exhibits 3 and 7 and answer the following question. When safety improves, does productivity decrease? That's your question. So exhibits 3 and 7, just compare them and just compare it. When safety improves, does productivity decrease? And then for group 2, that's going to be, me and James will do group 2. We'll look at exhibit 5, figure out which injury numbers are improving, are they going down, and which are going up. So we're just going to look at exhibit 5, James, and just see the numbers if they're going down or up. And then categorize the types of injuries that are improving compared with the types that are not.
Okay.
Yeah, exhibit 5. And then for the last 3, Carla, Derek, and Derek too, you guys are gonna look up exhibit 6 and go through the list of sample injuries and look for common themes and causes. So exhibit 6 for Carla, Derek, and Derek too. And just take 10 minutes to look this over. Does anyone need me to go over the exhibits again, or is everything good?
Stephen, what were we looking for in exhibit?
Exhibit 5, we have to figure out which injury numbers are improving and which are going up. Okay, for exhibit 6, just to go over really fast, you have to go through the list of sample injuries and look for common themes and causes.
That's all of us. Just say that again.
You have to go through the list of sample injuries in Exhibit 6 and look for common themes and causes. Is everyone ready to share, or do you guys still need a little more time? Okay.
Ready?
All right. So we'll start with Group 1. Comparing Exhibits 3 and 7, answer the question, when safety improves, does productivity decrease? So what did Ben and Mark find?
Do you want to go first? Do you want to go first, Ben, or do you want me to?
Doesn't matter. I don't know. Go for it.
Well, from what I can tell, looking at the trend in Exhibit 7, there seems to be safety seems to be improving overall as a whole. There's still more accidents than there needs to be, but it seems to be on a downward trend. But when you look back at Exhibit 1 or Exhibit 3, you notice that there's not really any significant impact on the correlation isn't really in production. Like, there's points when production drops a little bit, but there's no direct correlation to of safety increasing, if that makes sense. It seems, if anything, that as safety gets better, production increases, if anything. That's just what I noticed. Tell me if you see anything different.
That was my interpretation. So I think that like with the amount of volume that's being produced, like in 1987, that's 7,400 total hours worked. So if you divide that, that takes 39.9 hours to complete all that. And then if you look at Exhibit 7, across the board, just at those numbers, I didn't add them up, but fairly high number of injuries. Compared to August of 1991, that number dropped from 39.9 to 34.02, and all of the safety or the injuries have decreased. So my interpretation is that as safety has increased, production has increased as well.
Perfect. Thank you for sharing that. We'll go back to you and talk about that in more depth. So now me and James can talk about Exhibit 5.
All right.
Did you find it? Did you find it? Yeah.
Hang on here. I like numbers, so I was trying to plug in the numbers to Excel to find a correlation, see if there was a positive or negative correlation. But anyways, all right. Let's see here. On Exhibit 5, a lot of the categories were going down, which was okay, except for protruding object. I use the columns 87, 88, 89, 90, and then 91 to show a trend. That 91 is only the first 8 months of the year. Protruding object, they are at 20, whereas the previous whole year they had 23. Defective tools, same logic. They're at 12 the previous year. They're at 10. Based on their track record, they're going to either meet or exceed what they did the previous year. Noise hazard, atmospheric, same deal. Unsafe speed, nullified safety devices, used defective equipment, used unsafely, inadequate protection, and standard procedure deviation. So all of those are either not going to improve or going to be increased in problems. That's what I saw.
Yeah. So to summarize what you said, I think the common mistake or the common injury that's being made is mistakes made by people. And that's like a big issue. So now let's go to the last group, Group 3. What did you guys think about Exhibit 6?
I think, can you guys hear me this time?
Yeah.
Okay. We discussed the negligence. There were a lot of foot injuries, stepping on something, not seeing where they're stepping and missing things. But that also, there was equipment operators were the most injured. Derek, D2, did notice that the equipment operators were the most injured. Now, I think there would be a correlation with that, as they would have the highest access to being injured, so to speak, as they're operating massive machinery into massive machinery. So I think position also is a factor in it. The D's?
I want to allow D to talk.
Yeah, I agree with Carla. Because the operators are on the floor, probably more than most, the probability of them getting injured is higher. That just goes to show that that's where the focus should be when you're doing trainings. A lot of these injuries were preventable, and that's what I kind of mentioned before. You have to be a little bit more proactive about implementing your safety plans ahead of the game before it's too late. Otherwise, you do end up with unnecessary deaths, worst case scenario, or other injuries that put people out, slowing production down, or with that, it just ruins morale overall when you have less people working, more people doing other people's jobs, or having someone fill in that doesn't know how to do the job, causing a domino effect of more injuries or potential injuries.
All right. Thank you, everyone, for sharing their thoughts about the exhibits. So I just want to comment that Ben and Mark hit it really well. So it says here, like Group 1 should have discovered that as safety goes down, the number of hours to produce a ton also goes down. In other words, as safety improves over the long run, productivity also improves. So are you guys surprised by this? And did you think productivity would actually go down with increased safety? What do you guys think about that?
Well, go ahead.
Well, I don't know if you were going to talk about this, but the forklift
Yeah.
situation, is that where you were going?
Yeah.
Yeah, because I think that's what we all should be thinking here, because well, also in the case, should I say, you read about the forklifts and the operators and that whole that the way it happened, and so basically when you paper, and it was interesting to see because apparently they were running their forklifts a little too rough, so they reduced their breakdowns by 30%. So I guess those forklift operators were a little too gung ho to move things around, and so the fact that they put the motors down to 4 miles per hour and set that, and if you have an incident or you have an accident that happens, you have to spend all this time filling out paperwork, dealing with OSHA, dealing with the lost work that worker would have done, or that group of workers would have done. And so in the long run, being safe and doing things right more than compensates for the time it takes to do things safely.
Did you want to add something, Ben?
I don't think so. I think you got it all, Derek. I mean, talked about the time that the machinery or the forklifts were going to be out of commission, and money that they're saving on having to service them not as frequently, not as intensively when they do come up, and also I think like the quality of, like, I've worked in warehouses where I've driven forklifts, and there's nothing good that comes from being able to drive a forklift 15 miles an hour. You're just doing donuts in the warehouse and running into racks, and like, I think it's one of those situations that it just like forces you to be like hyper aware, and not saying that everybody's going to be aware while they're operating a forklift, but I think taking measures like that, even though it might like initially seem like it's going to halter production, what you're going to save in time and in expenses and in fixing thing and maintenance, like I think it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. Like, we all know that in business they tell us like time is money, but we know that safety is really important. It's like it should be up there always. So the next question that I'm going to talk about is, so which type of problem do you think is easiest to solve? The ones that are expensive or the ones that involve people's behavior, and why? What do you think, Mark?
I think the problems that are easier to solve are the ones that are expensive to be. That might sound controversial, but it's easier to just it's easy to throw money at something. It's compared to getting someone to change their attitude.
You mean
like
governments do?
Yeah. Yeah. It's a whole lot easier just to throw money at something instead of expecting people to change their attitude. And sometimes people try to throw money at things instead of getting people to try to change their attitude because it's easier, like governments do. Yes is more expensive, but it's definitely easier to write a check than it is to. It's effort to get someone to change their lifestyle. It's effort to get someone to change how they perceive something. Like, that's hard. Like, if anyone served a mission, that's hard. Like, see, the change people have to make, or anything, change in general, people don't like it. Like, if you give someone an option, they're going to write a check every time.
I agree with Mark. Easier to throw money at it, but that's only a short fix.
Yeah.
You get people to change their attitude, that's going to be the long-term fix.
Yeah.
Well, tell that to any U.S. government.
That's why they keep doing
Or my
the same thing
government.
over and over.
Since Yeah, tell that to my government too. They definitely need it. Yeah, I won't bore you about Canadian problems.
First world.
They're nicer and kinder, but they're than your guys' problems, but they're stupider. We just do our stupid in a nice way, I guess, if that makes any sense. Which makes it frustrating.
I like D2's comment about money can bring your dead coworker to life. Yeah, that's so true. So let's go on to the next topic. Thank you everyone for sharing your ideas about the questions. So next one says, what has Mission Valley done in the past to improve its safety record so much that they have so few serious injuries compared with other similar companies? What do you guys think about that?
I think because they're proactive at it. They evaluated the situations, then they tried to figure out the problems. They mentioned one part on the crane. When they got up on top, they had to put a chain across there. And instead, they removed the chain and they put the automatic closing door. I think they were very proactive, which caused them to have a better record than what the industry had.
Exactly.
I can't help but think that due to their age, that they've had a lot of time to adapt. And I think it said they started in 1888, and so it's not like one of these new companies who's coming to the scene where they're trying to adjust their process and implement all these safety. Like, I think they've been doing it for over 100 years and have had time to figure out what works and what doesn't work. Maybe that's not the primary thing, but I think that's, in my opinion, would probably be a factor.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. So the next question is, what are the challenges for the future? So what challenges is our company going to face in the future, especially in the safety?
I think they'll face. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Mark.
I was just going to say maintaining a strong attitude of safety. Just once, I think it was mentioned before, but once you get complacent in something, you kind of lose it. It's like the use it or lose it sort of attitude. If you think you're fine and good, then you're eventually going to slide back into bad habits.
That's very similar to what I was thinking, is not reinventing the wheel, but reinvigorating the wheel.
Yeah.
You need to find new ways to teach and motivate them about safety. You don't want to wait till another accident where they're like, oh, okay, well now we need to get back to that, to that rule or that safety procedure. So it's reinvigorating it, the same things all the time. So,
I wonder if go ahead.
sorry. Well, sorry. So from a money perspective, so because everybody's bringing up the point of money, I think it would be interesting to show them, like whether you hung it up on a board in the kitchen, the lunchroom or something, but show them how much an injury costs and how much is saved as well. Like, because how much it hurts a family, how much it hurts a company, how much it hurts a person, that also might be, like, again, reinventing ways to show them the impact that it would have on the company and themselves personally. Sorry, go ahead, James.
I was just going to say the concept of some of the future problems that they would have as transportation becomes easier. They mentioned some of the competitors were China, outside the country, so they wouldn't have those same human rights issues to deal with. They wouldn't have the same safety standards. So someone could potentially come in with the same product manufactured cheaper because they didn't pay as much attention to safety standards. So I think that's one thing that they could have face in the future, but then they could focus on selling the brand of product, American made, safe working environment, all that good stuff. But something in the future.
Yeah. So also, I remember So just like Carla said about motivation and motivating the workers. So remember how we read before this, the other topic was motivation. I think like creating new training games would be pretty cool for the new workers coming into the company, and also keep like the fresh idea of safety in people's heads, that you can't like become complacent, like Mark said. That would help a lot in the future. So now the next questions are really interesting, and this is really cool. So I'm gonna ask you about how you guys follow safety procedures.
You muted, Stephen.
Oh,
Yeah, I
sorry.
was going to ask, did anyone else lose him?
So I'm gonna ask. So there's 5 questions. So I'm gonna ask a question to each different person. So I'm gonna start with D2. So D2, do you always wear your seatbelt?
I always wear my seatbelt when I'm driving. I used to not wear it when I was a passenger, but now I do.
All right. All right. I guess you kind of passed that. Let's see. This goes to Ben. Do you avoid texting in dangerous places?
Define dangerous.
Text while driving.
Yeah, I am bad at that. I text and I'll admit it. I text and drive constantly. I drive a lot for work, and kind of have this made up idea that I can handle it and that I'm good at it, and because I haven't been in an accident yet. But I definitely do text and drive, and text when I cross the street, and text in all sorts of dangerous situations. So at least I can admit it.
Yeah. Yep. So yeah, let's try to improve on that. I think everyone is guilty once in their life to do that. The next question is for, let's see, Carla. Do you cross at crosswalks?
Yes.
Okay.
Always.
No jaywalking. That's good.
But let me explain why, though.
Uh-oh. There's not pure motivation here.
Yeah. No, when I was a kid, kid got hit by a mom, carpool, because he was not in a jaywalk, and it was somebody I knew, small town. And so my mom was like, that will not be you. You always cross the crosswalk, because if nothing else fails, they will at least pay for your college because you were legal. So yeah.
There's positive thinking.
Sure.
Yeah.
Hey, you got me to cross in a crosswalk.
As long as you're still alive, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Next question.
All right. The next question will be for D1. Do you use a ladder instead of a chair?
I would say most of the time, but I know what you're talking about. There's sometimes when you're like, okay, there's a chair right there, and the ladder is like, 100 feet away. You're like, okay, I'll use it. I'll use a chair.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of us are guilty of that too. So
There's other times when it's like, okay, well, there's nothing I can do. I need a ladder. The chair's not going to work.
Or a chair and a ladder.
And a ladder.
Or a chair on a table, I think, is an equal. That's probably the safest and most time efficient way.
Oh, yeah.
all right, the next question. I think it's gonna be for everyone, and I'm guilty of this too. But I'm gonna ask James this question. Do you always drive the speed limit?
If anything, I drive under more than I drive over. But I drive I drive
Have you
over
seen
when I'm not
Canadian
paying
speed
attention.
limits? Oh, they're
What's
horrible. Have you seen
Okay.
Canadian speed limits? Like, come on. There's no way an insane person drives that slow. It's not even
And
a
then I
fair
justify
question.
it with
Well,
I justify it with keeping up
Yeah,
with the flow of
there's my
traffic.
justification.
it's because
Yeah, that's how I justify it.
it's because 3/4 of the year you're frozen. That's why.
Okay, if I followed the speed limit, everyone would get in a crash because no one does up here. The speed limit, like the fastest it gets is 100 kilometers. Like ever. That's like 70 miles.
62 miles.
62 miles.
Yeah.
That's as fast as it gets. Try following that.
Oh.
Good luck.
Wow.
So if you complain about your 65 or 70 miles an hour, no complaining.
It's 80 here.
We have
Yeah, 80. Don't you complain about your 80 miles. None of that nonsense. When I was down there, I'm like, I'm going too fast, and I love it. I miss the States sometimes.
But what's funny is that, like, over here in Arizona, you can drive the speed limit, and in other states, you can drive the speed limit with the trailer. Where I came from, California, you have to. There's special signs that say 55 miles an hour. So truckers, it doesn't matter. You could be towing the smallest trailer in the world, and you still have to go 55 miles an hour.
But that's California. Even Canadians think California's weird. Come on.
All right, so I'm in Idaho, and last night Halloween, I saw a kid walking around with a cardboard cutout of California painted orange, and he had it attached to his head. That was his costume, was California.
Yeah.
That was really scary, probably.
Yep.
All right, I like what D2 said about how he used to, but like after getting 5 tickets, he doesn't do it anymore. That's actually what it said here. Like, what would get people to change their behavior? So I guess for D2, it was getting a lot of tickets, and I guess so. Yeah, we just have to learn to like follow the safety procedures that are given to us, and try to improve every day. Because no one's perfect. We all know that. So yeah. Does anyone else have any comments?
Well, and I think that's what a lot of it is unfortunately it's when the bow breaks is when you realize, oh crap, I'm going too fast. Oh crap, I shouldn't have my phone in my hands while driving. Oh crap, I shouldn't be standing on a 2-legged chair.
Yeah. You don't realize you're speeding until the sirens are in the back.
Yeah. I'm like, and in a way, it's kind of like the gospel. Like, you don't realize how far you've gotten off until you start reading your scriptures and you're like, oh crap, So I think that's also why it's good to have rules and regulations, because it keeps like a baseline of like sensibility. So, but yeah, so.
Yeah, that makes sense. Thank you so much for sharing that. So the last part we're gonna discuss about is, I don't know if you guys read an exhibit. I think it was 11. Talked about Linda's plan for 1992. So now let's just go through that list really fast and see which ones actually go with the company's goals and which ones wouldn't help that much, and what else is missing from the list.
I'll
If
be
you
back
guys
in like
can-
2 seconds.
Yeah. If you guys can follow me to exhibit 11, follow with me in exhibit 11. It talks about these 6 points that she highlighted for her safety plan. And I guess we can just go over them really fast and see which ones are good and which ones should be taken out and which ones are missing. And just so you know, I did some research about safety plans. So I found these 6 points that should be in any plan for a successful safety plan in any company. So I'll just read them out to you really fast. So the first one says you have to educate employees. Second one is establish protocols. Third one is train all employees. The fourth one is recognize good safety practices. The fifth one is review your safety materials and equipment. And the sixth one is establish an ongoing continuing education. So basically more training. So let's go over this list and see what stuff she has and what stuff she needs. I guess we can read it really fast. Do you mind reading it, James?
All right. First, monitor complete implementation of recommendations on falls. Establish a reporting procedure. Provide detailed tracking and report. Point 2, conduct stage 3 training for all supervisors and lead operators. Point 3, publish a biweekly newsletter on safety in plant. Coordinate with your Pittsburgh location. Point 4, improve safety committee operations. Better information, train committee leaders at crew level. Point 5, establish safety recognition program, awards and dinner based on performance improvement, making it fun. Point 6, meet with superintendents on a monthly basis to review safety performance, improve the meetings and the monthly reports.
Okay, what did everyone think about the list that she made?
I think it had most of the points that you read off.
Yeah, so she talked about a lot about, hold on, let me go back. About like going over the safety rules. I was just curious about stage 3 training for all supervisors. Is there more stages besides that? Do you guys know? That was point 2. There's conduct stage 3 training for all supervisors and leader importers and operators. Do you think there's stage 2 and 1?
I would almost say there's stage 1 and 2.
Yeah, so I guess they should go over that. They should include that too, because I'm guessing all of them are pretty important. I don't know why just stage 3 would be supervisors and lead operators.
I wonder if that
I
would
like
be, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, and the newsletter is pretty good too, just to tell everyone how safe the plant is. That's pretty cool.
Bi-weekly seems a little much.
Oh, bi-weekly is like twice in a week, right? Yeah.
That seems like a lot.
It's every other week.
Bi-weekly?
Yeah, bi-weekly is every other week.
So once every 2 weeks.
I thought bi-monthly would be every other. Yeah, maybe
every other month.
Oh, okay.
So, and that's just what we use for county. So it's twice in a month, essentially.
Gotcha.
Okay. Thank you for clarifying that. That makes more sense. Do you guys think there's something missing from the list that should be added, or is it okay the way it is?
I think they should add something to combat the culture. They're addressing just performance and just safety. She only makes 1 point in 5 to try and change the culture that's there. So I think she could add more there.
Add more to change the culture. Training for all employees. That's really good. Yeah, because I don't think the training should just be for the supervisors. Safety means every morning. That's a good idea too. I don't know if people are awake in the morning.
Well, I was the one that had several how do I say this employers that did safety meetings in the morning, and one was like a construction site, and the superintendent over the construction site brought everybody together, and he said, okay, they started talking about the what happened the previous day or week or whatever it was, or when an incident happened. We started addressing things, so it built a camaraderie, and like James was talking about the culture. It helped. You might not be fully awake in the morning at 7 o'clock in the morning or something, but you're awake enough to remember the highlights that they're giving you. And even there was that one, and that was like a different companies coming together. And then there was another one where I had an employer, and we had like 30, 40 employees for this company. When I was doing smart meters, it was in San Diego for SDG&E, and they were doing that project back in 2009, 2011, or 2012. And they would have safety meetings. And what was really nice too is when you would get they would present like these awards. It was great because I learned the trick about how to get people to call in about me and put good words in for me, and I would get these plaques, and I still have them in my file cabinet. I have probably 20 plaques, and people couldn't believe it, you know, because I figured out the system. And then all these people were like, "How are you getting all these awards for being such a great employee and everything?" And you know, I told them, I said, "Well, I tell people they can put a word in for you," and then people started doing it, they started getting it, and so people were motivated to be better workers and to give better customer service and do all those kinds of things rather than just you know, there was a pay incentive. There was like a, you know, for every award you got, you get like $10 or $20 on your paycheck at the end of the week. So it was nice. And so there's ways to motivate people, and you give them recognition, and you give them pay, and then they respond to it.
You bring a really good point, but not too much pay. Like according to that India study, the study from India or something, that higher compensation made worse results or something. From what I remember from the motivation article we read. So now the last thing to wrap up everything. What did you guys learn about talking about this case that will apply to future workplaces? I know me personally, I learned that safety is really important, and we have to like make sure like everyone, even the employees, like D2 says, knows all the safety rules, and we should go over them constantly. So like the workplace can be safe. I think it's like a safer employee is a happy employee. That's what I read somewhere. So that's pretty important too. What are your guys' thoughts about that too?
That safety doesn't have to decrease if in order for the production to increase.
Yeah.
You like that one?
Nice.
That's awesome.
Did you
That's
read-
awesome.
I got a bunch of them in here. Let's see here. Spend some time just to take them all out. That was. Hold on. I got it. They couldn't. They ran out of wall space.
Nice.
Oh my land.
Yeah, I just thought I would show you that before we end here. So, yes, I'm proud of that.
Sounds like a safety hazard.
Oh. Yeah. Now, I think safety, even in an office, needs to be something addressed, and it's a continual concern in and out, you know, in personal life as well as professional life and whatever your career is. So, you know, and remember why you want to be safe. Like, you want to get home and be with your family, and, you know, and you want your family to be safe as well. So I think that's should be the biggest motivation, and remind people of that.
Yeah. Thank you everyone for sharing. Does anyone else have a last comment before we end this and talk about the doohickey assignment?
I was just gonna say one thing though. I think someone brought it up about safety, and I've been on several job sites where they count down the amount of days since the incident happened, and the people there, you know, they try to keep that number down because they know OSHA is looking at it, and you know, it reflects on all the workers there.
Yeah, that's a very good comment. Thank you so much. All right, so I guess this wraps up the discussion for tonight. So for the doohickey assignment, do you guys send a document or something out? I think Mark sent it out, right?
Yeah, I sent it out a while ago. Like the last doohickey we had?
No, for this one. That's due next Monday.
Oh, I didn't send that out. No.
Yeah, it's just we've just been using the same one from before.
Okay. Same document. All right. That works.
I can't access it because, my brother decided to do an April Fool's joke and completely lock out my email on me.
It's okay.
Oh, yeah. I am up a creek without my email, and he knows it.
Is he up a creek in return?
He didn't do it on purpose. It was an accident. It's still just frustrating.
So game plan of the doohickeys. I need to finish my write-up tonight. I wasn't comfortable with what I was writing. Anyways, final drafts are Friday, correct? And are we doing them, putting them in black again once we feel confident in it?
I would agree with that. I'm in your boat as well, Carla. Or Brianne. I need to write my rough draft tonight. I've got outlines there. I will throw up a rough draft tonight and final by Friday.
Okay.
Same.
Okay. Stephen, you're the team leader on it, which means that you're turning it in, and Derek, D1 is the editor and bibliographer, so you might want to work with him on coordination, because he'd be, yeah. Am I missing something? Oh, also D1, we might have to co-lead because you have to write 2 papers this semester, and you would only be writing 1, even if we hadn't switched up. So we might need to do a contribution there. So, because you have to, that was one of the things, is you have to do 2 papers as a team leader.
2 doohickey papers or 2 weekly?
No, sorry, 2 group papers, like lead groups, if that makes sense.
Gotcha.
Leader
So
assignments.
you're telling me I need to do one next week and the week after?
Yes. So I'll email you and we can coordinate.
Where does it say that? That you need to do- doesn't
It
show-
was in the syllabus where you have to do 2 team leader, because our group is the largest group in class, and so we've had to double up. But I'll find
I was gonna say we should probably talk to the instructor because we are an exception, it seems like, to the rule. But it's something to look into. On that note, Stephen, I don't know if you know that it's not just about taking notes about the group meeting and writing a couple paragraphs, but there's actual writing assignment for the group leader. I don't know if you saw that assignment.
Yeah, I read it. I was working on it when you guys were talking.
Nice.
So yeah, I'll get that turned in. Thank you.
And then D1, are you okay with it being Friday for everyone's final drafts, or do you want it sooner?
I'm fine with that.
We just had Mark turn it in last time. That way the editor knows when to send it. That makes it a little easier on Steven. Because Steven has his own paper to turn in this week. Which is due this Saturday, I think, not Monday.
Okay. That's a good reminder. Thanks for telling me.
The doohickeys is due Saturday, not Monday?
Sorry,
The
group leader assignment.
group leader assignment is due Saturday.
Oh,
How did that go last week, Ben?
good.
All right.
It was all right. I mean, I'm happy to post or email out what I wrote up. I haven't seen a grade back for it, but
Sounds good.
I'll email that out right now if anybody cares to look at it.
Steven, after this is done, I'll send you the link. You'll have to post this link on the question and answers for group 11
Okay.
for week 8. and then you do your write up. I think there's a submission you can do for that.
Yeah. Thanks for recording this time.
No problem. I just volunteered to do it every week because that way it's not confusing. And then I'll do it for
Yeah.
the end next week.
Yeah, that works.
Great. I think that's it. Unless anyone else has any questions.
No, I think we're all good.
Mark,
Think
Yep.
we're good.
I'll double check with Brother Bonnie and let you guys know about how many leader assignments you have to do in the semester. So, okay.
Hopefully,
All right.
said whoever was the leader of that group, that's what I thought it was. You know, without-
Your microphone's fading out, Derek.
I was saying, can you hear me now?
Yep, much better.
I was saying that hopefully it is that it was my understanding that whoever was the group leader was the one that was going to do it. So, I mean, I figure like you were saying, hopefully it'll make an exception or whatever, because it didn't make any sense. I mean, if I'm not a group leader and Brienne's a group leader, and I'm in paper, it doesn't make sense.
Well, I know that D2 and James are doubling up on 1 week as well. So, like I said, I'll double check with Brother Bonnie, and I'll send an email out to everybody.
Sounds good. Thank you.
All right.
I'm going to forward my my paper on, or once I make corrections to the bibliography onto Mark to submit it. Do I understand?
Pardon? Can you say again, D1?
So I'm going to be submitting the final paper to you to be submitted to the teacher. Is that what's doing, or am I submitting it directly to?
I thought you were submitting it.
Okay.
I can submit it again. That's okay with me.
Well, I heard something about that, so I was trying to clarify.
No, it was about just Steven, because Steven is quote unquote the group leader for the doohickeys assignment right now. But to make things easier, if you could just edit everything and then email the instructor before Monday at 8 D1.
Okay, I'll see if I can email him on Saturday or Sunday. Email that over Saturday.
Appreciate it.
All right.
All right.
Anything else?
Great.
Okay, have a good one,
Thanks
guys.
all.
Night,
Thank
guys.
you.
See y'all next week.